Today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over one of the best social media tools for posting that we've been using for the last 3 years. And today I'm bringing on a special guest that's not only gonna go over all the things that we can do in the tool, but all the new updates that the tool is now using that you're gonna be completely blown away on. Now, again, we don't bring anybody on to this channel unless it's something that we actually personally use. And we've been using this particular product called SocialBee for the last 3 years, and we're incredibly happy with it. We're longtime customers, we're affiliates. We love promoting the tool because, again, we're constantly using it. So without further ado, I want to bring on, I have a special guest from SocialBee, Anka, and she's going to kind of go over and tell us a little bit about the tool and everything that's going on. So go ahead, Anka, please tell us what's going on in SocialBee, who you are, and what's it's all about.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I love joining sessions like this one and sharing the love of what SocialBee can do for you. So first of all, hi, I'm Anka. I'm a social media strategist for SocialBee, and I've been doing this for around 8 years with SocialBee.
Wow, okay.
Now. So I've been with SocialBee right from the start when they started. We're actually turning 9 years old on Monday. So that's the cool
Very,
thing.
very cool. All right. So we're getting like the anniversary kind of like edition of this. This is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So within SocialBee, what I've actually been doing was to help people develop a content strategy, learn how to best use SocialBee to leverage that strategy and improve it further down the road, and basically make the most out of their social media. So that's what we're going to learn today.
Awesome. Well, I know you're going to be sharing a screen and you're actually going to show us the goods, right? So again, as everybody knows, here at Automated Marketer, we're a big how-to channel, and we like to show you the things that we're using and how we're doing it. And again, I want to keep reminding people, we've been using this tool very happily for the last 3 years. One of the best customer services that I've had the pleasure of working with. Whenever we hit snags, when Twitter, formerly known as X, canceled and reestablished our connections, they were there firsthand. They sent us like kind of a big guideline of what's happening. So communication was super on point. They're always coming out with new features. Anytime there's a new social media trend or action that we should take, they're usually pretty on top of it. And this does things that a lot of other systems honestly don't do, or they don't do as well as SocialBee does. So again, big fan. And as you see, this is inside the tool. So Anka, what do we got going on in here? There's quite a bit over here.
I'm going to show you things directly on SocialBee's profiles. So you're going to get a few insights here. What you're currently seeing is the dashboard, actually. So when you log in, this is the first thing you see. You see an overview of your connected social profiles, and you also see all of the profiles that you can connect to SocialBee. And obviously, as you can see on screen, there's all the major platforms available. So we have everything from the Meta suite, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Pinterest, X, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google Business, Blue Sky, as well as TikTok. But we also have something called universal posting. The trick of universal posting is that it's a semi-automated way of posting that sends you notifications via phone, via the mobile app that SocialBee has, to platforms, or to post to platforms that don't typically have integrations with SocialBee. We're talking WhatsApp, Facebook groups. These two particularly don't actually allow scheduling, from my knowledge at least. Mastodon, Quora, Reddit, Telegram, there's a lot others that you can integrate with. Essentially, anytime you want to share something that's not directly integrated with SocialBee, you can use universal posting. What you'll do is you'll create the content as you normally do in SocialBee, and when it's time to post, let's say this is a Christmas post, on Christmas Day, you'll get the notification, hey, it's time to post this, here's the content, and now all you need to do is post it.
Wow. So believe it or not, Facebook groups was a big deal because we used to be able to schedule our Facebook groups. So this gives us the ability to back. Now, granted, we still have to like post it, but the post is already created, if I'm understanding what you're saying. And all we're doing is basically just going in there and hitting a button. Is that kind of what's going on?
Yes, exactly. So SocialBee, the mobile app, will take you to Facebook. You have a selection of tools that you can use there from the mobile apps that you have on your phone. And essentially, it opens up the Facebook app, and you can go to whichever and how many ever groups you want and share that. And the advantage of doing it via reminders, as opposed to the old way, which was direct, is that you can now also share to groups that you're not an admin of.
Oh, so you can do posts on other people's groups.
Yeah, because
very, very interesting.
Essentially.
Very, very interesting. We'd like to see that. And I don't know if you can do a demo on that one, but that would be really, really cool. But if not, I mean, I know we have a lot of stuff to cover, but again, that is pretty cool.
And it's super helpful for anything. And I use this often on my own profiles when I want to share, let's say, an Instagram story and I want to add a sticker. Because as you may know, stickers is something that's not available through the API, or music for Reels or things like that. So I use that feature when I want to share a story that has stickers that I can add natively before publishing. It's super useful to have anyway.
Very cool. And again, so basic connections, super easy, right? From what I remember, because it's been a while since we've done it. But whenever we want to add a new social media, profile of any sort on any of those ones that we just shared, all we have to do is basically a couple clicks, from my recollection, is you literally click the button, go to the particular profile in question, and then you're off to the races pretty much, right?
Yeah, let me connect an Instagram account. I might have to move it over from a different account that I have, but essentially it's asking you to make sure that you're an admin of that account, especially if it's Facebook, Instagram, things like that. So it will ask that with your personal Facebook account. And once you confirm it, you have a list of, all of the test pages that I have here, and I'll just move one in here. So now you can see that I've selected it, and I'll move it over from a different workspace into this one. And that's it.
So actually, let's just go ahead and create a post. What does it take to do it in here? And how does okay, so I'm a brand new user, right? I connected all my accounts. Great. Now what do I do?
Now what? Yeah, that's a great question. Well, before creating a post, I would like to go over a few things that SocialBee can do for you in terms of strategy.
Sure.
Because you still have a few steps to do before creating a post. So first of all, one thing you need to know about SocialBee is that it has AI features that can help do the work for you. Another thing that you need to know is that it covers the 4 main core elements of any social media strategy, which is to create content, schedule content, analyze your content, as well as engage with content that you already have. So that's all that we're going to cover today. And I'm going to start with the Copilot, which is the AI assistant that can help generate a starting point strategy. So this will take you through the steps of a strategy that you need to have. And it will start, obviously mine is pre-filled to save time, but essentially it will start by asking you a few questions. And the more detailed your answers, the better it will get. So take your time, go through these questions, answer them. You can use ChatGPT to come up with the answers if you want to. As long as they're very, very detailed, this will be great for you. So once you have that, it suggests social profiles that you can connect. You can select the ones that you have. So you see how now I have 2 Instagram accounts here. I don't want mine. That's a test account. I only use it for testing purposes. So I'll just keep SocialBee's Facebook and Instagram for this demo. And then I'll go ahead and I'll generate content categories. Now, if you're not familiar with content categories, this is one of the, I'd say, high points of SocialBee, because it's something that not many scheduling tools have. And that's the ability to organize your content into these categories. You can think of them as your content pillars, and that's what the Copilot does. You can also think of them as campaigns or folders to hold your different types of content. And essentially, the Copilot will create a content mix. You can see the ones labeled Copilot. Those are the ones that it generated for me. And these ones will help me make sure that I'm not oversharing or undersharing a specific type of content. To give you an example, your run-of-the-mill strategy on social media for any type of business out there is usually going to be around 80% value content and 20% promotional content. So promoting the business, the services, the features, everything, right? You want to make sure that you're not just promoting, because that will take your audience away from you.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, sure. We're big on providing value. And promotions will come out very once in a blue moon, but that's pretty important. One quick question, because I did notice that you can have multiple Instagrams and everything else. Big question we get all the time is, can you post on your personal accounts through SocialBee?
Yes, but you can only post it through mobile reminders because Instagram itself does not allow it any other way. So regardless of whether it's SocialBee or other scheduling tool, and I believe even the Meta free.
Yeah, they don't really allow it. That's why we're wondering. But you can do it. It's just going to be through the reminder app in that universal posting versus anything.
Exactly. So that's because in personal profiles, and I'm talking Instagram and Facebook personal, it's the same thing. They're considered private. So they want to protect that privacy a little bit more. Sure. Also due to GDPR and other laws like GDPR that might be in effect. But essentially, they're considered more private. So they have a few more limitations. Analytics are even not as available to those as it is for other types of accounts. And for Instagram in particular, I would recommend having a creator or business account anyway, because that's how you get access to analytics. That's how you get access to the important information that will help drive your strategy forward.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we have the categories. We can also create categories from scratch, by the way. So if you have something that you absolutely want to use, you can definitely create that as well and create a mix of the two. Once you have the categories, you can move further into the Copilot, and whoops, I have some errors here. Let's see what's that.
It's still pretty cool that you just did this though, because like from what I can see, again, this is a pretty cool screen. So like if I look at it, you got Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, right? Based on what he did, and it's segregating when you're posting and all that. Now, I'm going to ask this because, again, you guys have the experience. Is posting every day really the thing to do nowadays? Like,
yes and no. It depends on the platform. It depends on your specific audience. It depends on the behavior that they have on social media. You'll notice that in this schedule, the same category is scheduled even on different days for different profiles. So if you look at the product spotlight, it's at 7 a.m. for LinkedIn and Facebook, and then a different time for X, and then a different time for Instagram on Wednesdays. And then for TikTok, it's on Thursdays. And that's because the Copilot looks at the ideal posting frequency for each one of these posts. And then it also looks at your analytics and figures out what are the best times for you, particularly to post that type of content.
and so it gets smarter over time. Will these change over time based on?
No, only if you regenerate it. So yeah, by default, they will not change. They will stay as they are. If you want to regenerate it, then yes, you might make some changes to it.
By the way, anybody that's interested that does want to pick it up, we're going to give you a coupon code towards the end, but I am going to post a link right there so you guys can check this out for yourselves. But again, just want to make sure that we go through. But just kind of a recap already on the features alone. So multiple channels you can post at one time, a lot of different channels. A lot of other tools are going to be very limited on the type of social media that you're going to have. You immediately go over to the left-hand side after you connect your channels. There is a Copilot that now will help you plan. The more details you give it, it's going to give you a whole posting plan. Then you go to the following stages. It has all the different kinds of categories of that you want to plan. And I'm assuming you're just clicking on the categories you want to post on, create your own. And then after that, you go to this fancy screen here. It's going to help you kind of decide on which platforms and on which things to put. So this is amazing so far. So really, really cool. I mean, we're not even halfway through this and it's already like,
oh no, I wouldn't even be able to show you everything. So I'm just going surface level.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, anyway, so with this, you can also edit and change it to your needs. You can see how each of these has a delete button and an edit button. So you can fully customize it with your own knowledge if you want to. The final step in the Copilot is that it actually generates content ideas for you. And this is something that you can come back to every time you need to. So essentially, you'll never run out of content ideas. And that's my favorite thing about it, honestly.
And now, but it's doing it based on the information you put into the Copilot originally.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll see around 5 posts per generated category being generated here. It does take a little bit of time to do that. It has a lot of work to do, but there we go. So you'll see the first 5 posts for me are part of the behind the scenes category, which is a little more engaging. It's lighthearted, things like that. So it's giving me content ideas, team brainstorming session, office antics, celebrating a successful meeting, things like that. And then you'll have, so this is the idea, the concept of your post. And then you'll have a note for each post that provides you a visual concept. So anything that you can add as an image or a video to that post to make it better. So in this case, a candid shot of the team, or in this other case, an inside look at the SocialBee office. We work remote, so you won't have that, but you get the idea of it. So essentially, you can work with this as much as you want to, and then select them either all at once or one at a time, and then use them in your content. And at the bottom of it, you'll see that you're able to generate more. So this is the screen you can come back to and generate and generate and generate more and more, then just use them in your content. So this will take the posts into my existing categories. You'll see them in these categories here in the content menu.
Very, very, very cool. And I'm assuming hashtag collections to collect all your hashtags, important links that you want to include.
So
wow. So
all tools that can help you either save time or automate your content importing. Hashtag collections, indeed, you can save your hashtags ready to use. Now, hashtags and their usage has changed a little bit in the past year or so. So they're not as high importance, at least on Instagram, as they used to be. However, they still have some importance as keywords to drive SEO. So you can use them in sets of 5, 8 hashtags per post, I think.
I see that you also have a Zapier connection, right? So let me ask you a question. We're big in automations in this channel. We actually help build bots and we custom GPTs that are very kind of like about the customers or whatever else. Would it be possible to, let's say, if I have a bot that's doing a bunch of stuff, that I then have a connection to Zapier and Zapier can then create a post in SocialBee that will automatically go everywhere? Is that a possibility that's kind of happening with SocialBee?
I think that's over my head a little bit. I'd say it's possible, but it does depend on what connection your bot would have with Zapier.
Got it.
Yes, Zapier can create content in SocialBee and send it over, but I'm not sure exactly what the first step is.
No problem. We got that part down. So that's something we can teach people to do. So that's pretty cool. Very, very good.
Absolutely. And there's also integrations with Make and Pabbly for alternatives to Zapier as well.
Awesome.
So those are also available. Another cool thing is the browser extension. Essentially, if you're reading articles and you find that they're a good share for your audience, like curated content, you can just pick it up with the browser extension directly on the page that you are. So you don't have to go back into SocialBee and then back to the
Very, very cool. Very, very cool with important news, things that we're doing.
Is helpful for on-the-go content as well. So probably the most effective, simple tool that we have in here, which is the RSS tool. It connects to an RSS feed on your blog, let's say, and automatically brings in content from that blog. So for SocialBee, we've connected it to the SocialBee blog. So that means whenever my colleagues publish content on the SocialBee blog, I automatically get it into the weekly blog post category. So I don't have to either pester them to let me know whenever they're publishing or keep refreshing the page to find new articles. So it's not a waste of anyone's time. I get it automatically. I set it as a draft and then I can go in and change it and customize it to my needs. And speaking of customizing to your needs, you have a content approval screen so that you can work with teams, you can work with even our team, because we also have a digital marketing agency, ConciergeBee, which can help you with creating content. These are the posts that we generated with the Copilot, and you'll see them because I've added them into a paused category. That's why they're grayed out. But I'm also able to filter, let's say for RSS content. And in this case, you'll see all the content that's drafted for RSS feeds. And I'll be able to look through it. And let's say I want to approve this one, the last one. I can either do that and just approve it, or I can tag a user, and I'll actually tag my colleague here, Julia.
So it's a full collaboration area is what you're saying, right?
Yes. And let's work this into our strategy.
Very, very cool.
Just like that. And she'll get a notification via email letting her know that I have tagged her in this and that she has stuff to do, essentially. You'll also get a history of everything that's happened with this. So every time I've turned this post on active and back to draft, basically you've seen it here.
Now, one of our favorite features, and I don't know if it might be a little bit too, I don't know if it's on the surface talk, but was where it takes some of your older existing content, and if it performed well, it recycles it back in. Can you go over that a little bit? It's Mary, who's my operations manager, who runs pretty much all of our social media. She absolutely loves that tool. She says, all of a sudden we'll just see like a random post from like a year ago, and like, well, why is that posting again? It's because it performed pretty well. And it kind of goes back and it kind of, touches the algorithm, whatever it is. So go over that because I think it's one of the coolest features that's out there.
So that's actually one of the biggest benefits of using the category system that we have, together with the fact that you can organize your content and you can schedule the categories instead of the individual posts. So I'll touch upon that first. So if I'm giving you an example with the weekly blog posts, if I wanted to publish one post every week, instead of going through a calendar and figuring out the dates for the next 9 Wednesdays in a row, I can just schedule the category every Wednesday at 9. And the content inside the category will just queue up as long as it's approved. And the first post will go out on the first Wednesday, the second post on the second Wednesday, and so on until it reaches the bottom. Now, that's when the ReQueue feature is helpful, because if your content is not time sensitive, if you want to repurpose your content, you can turn on ReQueue for that category or that post. And then once it reaches the end of the queue, the list, it essentially loops back to the top and starts going through that content again. And you can create multiple variations of the same content. And actually, this is something that I use a lot with countdowns to the different webinars that we do. So we do a lot of webinars, even demos just like this one, where I usually share to my socials, hey, we're having a webinar in this day. And then, hey, it's 24 hours left until the webinar is live. Hey, we're going live, things like that.
So you can make, okay, so hold on. That's a big game changer here because I didn't even know about that because we do webinars all the time and we have like certain days. You're telling me that I can go in here and is it like, would you say creating a category or?
No, so you can have the category as you need to, and then you'll just create a post. And I'll show you in the post editor here. So let's say this is launch webinar date. There we go. I'll just go on my Instagram here. Then I'll add a variation and I'll say 24 hours left. And then I'll add another variation and I'll say 1 hour left. And then I'll add another variation and say, we're live. Join us here. And so I'll schedule these because this is a countdown. I need specific dates, but if this weren't a countdown, I wouldn't. So for this particular example, I would use the post at specific time feature. And I would, let's say I announce it today, and then I add another time for 24 hours, which is going to be on Monday because I have a webinar on Tuesday. The time already exists. Oh yeah. Okay, there we go. I didn't select the time. And then another one on Tuesday, on Monday, no, Tuesday, yes, on Tuesday at noon, and one right before I go live at 6 p.m. There we go. So now variation 1, this one, the launch goes out today. Variation 2 goes out 24 hours before my webinar. Variation 3 goes out 1 hour before my webinar, and so on.
You are literally blowing my mind right now. So you can do this on multiple channels, not just one, right? So I can put this on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, letting them know that I'm going to be live on whatever the webinar is. So essentially, you're almost creating like a funnel to get people to show up. And you would put like different things in there, like benefits and features are going on. Well, my mind was just like, again, completely blown because like who never even thought of that you can do that, especially if you have a large following, this will be like next level.
Yeah, it's also great for those non-time sensitive pieces of content. So if you have a podcast, a blog, or even a webinar like this one that you want to then repurpose and share different snippets from the webinar, you can definitely do that. And let's say, so if you want to promote this after we finish today's session, and you say, hey, rewatch this here, Anka's talking about how you can create content. And then another time, Anka's talking about how you can schedule the content. Anka's talking about your strategy. Anka's talking about anything else. And you can choose different things. And then at the end, still say, watch the full thing here. And it's the same link because it's the same recording to the webinar.
Wow, this is next level ninja. So the only way that like, and again, because right now people get reminders on emails, on text messages, but man, we would up the game if all of a sudden they would get reminders from us personally, letting them know that the webinar is going to exist on a system like this. I have not heard any other system that can do this. And
well, this is a post that will go out on your page. So it's not a DM or anything.
No, totally. I understand. What I'm saying is has a post and being able to schedule it in kind of like a reminder kind of setting. I just never even thought of that, which also makes my brain also think of like, wow, if I wanted to take people to like, let's call it a social media funnel where I present something on the first day, second day I talk about it, third day, I go into the details, and fourth day I'm asking you to buy. I now can create this variation kind of setting and then just create different times that it's going to post. Wow. All right. So that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I got to say, that is one heck of a strategy, especially for a lot of the marketers. A lot of our people are either agency owners or marketers. Remember, you can run your SocialBee for other people as an agency.
There's a lot more than that. So you can separate your clients into workspaces within SocialBee and provide them with access to their own workspace without risking them seeing your other clients, for instance. And team members with access granted to only specific workspaces and only specific permissions and things like that. So it's super helpful for that.
Yeah, very cool. So again, just a lot of different crazy ideas that you have. You can run it as an agency. So this can be a service for that you actually can provide it. And again, with all the Copilot tools, the ability that you now can generate this. And remember, even for images, you got so much stuff on AI that we teach you at this channel that can, generate images and so forth. And again, I believe the fact that you can import the media, you can do all of that, it becomes really easy. And you also have a mobile app, so you can do this on the fly right from your mobile phone, which again makes it a pretty big deal. Now, any kind of things that like SocialBee's like working on that you're pretty excited about that you maybe know maybe is coming down, maybe that you could talk about? I know sometimes you can't talk about certain things, but
I can talk about it. I can give you a small sneak peek without actually revealing it. But essentially, we are currently redesigning the post editor, which is something that you guys don't have yet in your SocialBee account. So the regular post editor right now looks like this. So this is what it is. You'll select your profiles here. You'll create your content. You have AI integrated in the post editor, and we're working on a redesign for this one right now.
Awesome. And because I want to make sure I don't forget, they were gracious enough to give us codes that you guys can leverage to get a little bit of a discount. So again, here is the code for us. It's a little long, but it'll be on the YouTube channels. Just pause the screen and you guys can go through it. We're also including the affiliate link if you guys so choose to use it. But again, what's great about this is, again, tool we've been using. I actually now, Mary's not going to be happy with me, my operations manager. She's going to be like, oh God, what ideas do you have now? Because now I can social post, in a row just to kind of get it out there. So a bunch of things. We got the reminder. We have the universal posts. We have all the different connections it can go to, AI, generating images, captions, everything that we need to do inside of here, timers and variations that we can basically do in here, category posts. Anything else that we're missing? Oh, and the analytics. We got to talk about the analytics.
Got to talk about the analytics. Before we do that, I also wanted to briefly mention that you have integrations with Canva, so you can work on your designs directly in SocialBee. There's also integrations with Giphy, Unsplash for royalty-free images. The AI gives you templates for your captions that you can work with, and it's super easy to use. You even have favorites that you can definitely use. I'm a foodie, so all my favorites are food related, as you can see.
Oh, you're talking to one of the biggest foodies. I will literally drive 4 hours for meatballs. And another like 6 hours for like sushi and God knows what else. So yeah.
I just go ahead and I make them all. So yeah,
Awesome.
Right now I'm generating the avocado toast recipe here. And you can see that I have multiple options and I can just select the ones that I like and bring them in my post there. And then I can go in and I can generate an image from it, or even better, like get my demo here. There we go. Get my video in with my recipe and just select the cover for that video and do all these cool things. And even further than that, I can customize my post for each profile, allowing me to access platform-specific features. For Instagram, this means allowing you to select feed and reel if you want your reel to go out on your feed or not, or your stories or your feed or things like that. You have a location pin for those businesses that are very offline that you want to direct people to that offline event or store or whatever it is. You have the option to tag users and invite them as co-authors, as collaborators. There's a bunch of features that you can use on each platform based on what they can allow. So it's a lot. And some of the platforms require this customization to happen. TikTok, Pinterest, and YouTube, to be specific, because they have some additional requirements that other platforms don't. So for TikTok, you got to choose whether you allow duets, stitches, things like that. For YouTube, you got to add a title. For Pinterest, you got to add a board. These are elements that other platforms don't have. So they kind of force you to go into this customization state. And then if there's something wrong with your post, you get a warning sign letting you know that something is not right and that you need to work with it further. So yeah, it's super helpful. It helps you a lot. It's super vast, so I barely scratched the surface there, but there's a lot of help, documentations, and videos that I make, as well as webinars that you can see more in depth of every single feature. And it's a lot.
Now, the full scheduling calendar, can we take a little bit of a look at that? And again, the analytics, we can't ever forget about the analytics, because again, it's another big thing that we use to leverage. So you have a full month calendar, you could do a couple posts out like for the whole year if you like.
This is bigger than that, yes. So you have the overview. Starting with the overview, I'll filter it for Instagram, where I actually have some content. This is where you see your categories scheduled and your content mix here at the bottom. So if I go in and I add, let's say, too much promotional content for My Instagram, I can see it here because it's 50% of my content. So I'm oversharing and I should dial it down. And I can go in and I can change it or edit it however I want to. Then you have the calendar and lists view, which show you your upcoming content in a calendar or list format. So you'll see your upcoming posts. You can even go back into the past. I haven't published in the past few weeks, but you can see the content that you've published in the past, and then you can go into the future and see what's upcoming. If you have content that's set to draft mode but scheduled at a specific time, so it requires your attention before that date, you'll see it here so that you can actually work with it. And this is where you see actually my food examples. You're also able to see all the category scheduling and when the category content stops, because at some point you will end up not having more content, you'll see it like this. So that way, you know, this is the moment where you need to add more content. You can switch between a daily view, a 4-day view, the 7-day view, which, by the way, starts on today's date, not on Monday. So you see the next 7 days.
Awesome.
And you're also getting a monthly view as well. So it really is very comprehensive.
And the analytics, which is, I think, the next button over.
Yes.
This is like the magic sauce, right?
This is my favorite part of SocialBee. If you do social media strategy, you're going to love analytics. There's no doubt about it. So essentially, with analytics, you'll see them per profile, allowing you to get really in depth for each individual profile. And then you have different time frames that you can work with. So you can go for the last month, which is essentially the last 30 days, or the last quarter, the last year, things like that. It's up to you. And you'll get 4 main tabs that are going to give you analytics. Page analytics is giving you insights on your page performance. So follower count, reach, engagement, demographics, all of the good stuff. You'll then have post analytics, which is giving you more info on how your content is performing. And by the way, one thing you may notice is that every single metric is compared to the previous similar period. So we're looking at the last month, it's comparing it to the previous month. And it's in red if there's a decrease, it's in green if there's an increase, and in black if there's a nothing changed. So if it's exactly the same. So this will be a great indicator for you to kind of let you know whether your content strategy is working in your favor or if it's time to look at a new strategy. So for me, I haven't been posting in the past few weeks. Everything's on red here. So I kind of have to change the strategy. That means post more, essentially. So
it makes sense. And I mean, that's good too. It's a good indicator too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also get this, so I'll change it to a longer time frame so that you can see it more efficiently, but you also get it an evolution of your posting, which will tell you if you're posting consistently or not, which I haven't been. As you can see, it's pretty hectic. It also shares your reach so that you can see what outperformed your average reach. So what I would do is look at my average reach per post is 120. So anything above 150, I would consider as best performing. So I would look at that and see what caused it to perform. Anything that's below 100, I would look and see why it didn't perform. Maybe it's the format. Maybe I said something the wrong way. Maybe I didn't touch upon it enough. So things that I could improve, because for the most part, I'm sure those topics are relevant to my audience. And I'm sure you guys know that too for your content. It's just usually the format that needs tweaks and changes in order to reach your audience the right way. And then you also have it all broken down into categories and types of
look at that. Wow.
of that. And then we go into my favorite. I'll switch back to Instagram here because it's a little more visual that way and I can explain it better. But this is my favorite graph in the entire SocialBee app. Essentially, it's telling you the distribution of your content throughout the day. So not when is the best time to post, but when your audience is actually getting your content. And that's a great insight to have. If you look at these bubbles, each of these colors represents a category. You can color code your categories however you prefer. I have mine these way. And you can use these insights to kind of give you a perspective of whether you're sharing when your audience is getting it or there's a delay somewhere. And you'll see here how each of these categories has one small 1 hour delay because we're looking at the last 3 months. That is the switch to daylight savings time. So that's really understandable, not an issue. However, if you look at the yellow bubbles, and I filtered it for that one specifically, this is a category that I have scheduled on Wednesdays. So this one. And I see that there's a bigger chunk of people who are getting my content on Fridays. At least they have been in the past 3 months. So this is telling me that I might be better off changing this day of the week to go on a Friday, because anyway, my audience is getting it on a Friday. So I might maximize it because there isn't a delay from the moment I post it to the moment it reaches my audience, which is great. And then you can also filter it for different needs that you might have. So we're looking at engagement, but if we're looking at impressions, things are looking a little bit differently. And so you get these cool insights for each one of your categories there. And then below you have your top performing content so that you know exactly what outperformed everything else. And you can bring it back into SocialBee so that you can work with it further.
So again, reuse posts that we were mentioning before based on analytics that we know are working.
Yes.
Very, very cool.
Exactly. And then you have your complete post history. This will tell you everything you need to know about every post that you have. And again, you have filters for best performing and worst performing for each metric, as well as chronological order. And if you're on a pro plan, if you have clients that you want to share this data with, you can export it into a PDF and you can add your link and you can add a summary. I'll just type some gibberish here, and then you can select the type of info that they get to see and just download it into a PDF report.
Very, very cool. So now you even got reporting for your clients, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And walk me through as like kind of a wrapping up a little bit, right? Walk me through the concierge, because I know that's a big deal for you guys. And I think I've used it in the past myself. So walk us through what exactly is SocialBee Concierge?
That's our sister brand. It's called ConciergeBee. It's basically our digital marketing agency that you can use to outsource or white label services. And we have services across all the major things that you need to do in social media. These are my colleagues, by the way, except for Jackie. She's our chief happiness officer.
I love it.
So yeah, you have social media content, video content, growth content, article writing, copywriting, all of these cool stuff, including ads management, and everything is on our website as well as inside SocialBee so that you can actually work with it directly from here.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So one big takeaway, like for anybody kind of listening, is there anything that you would recommend? Like, again, if they were about to get started, right? They get an account, but we already told them they're going to do the Copilot. They're going to connect all their accounts first. Is there any other thing that you would say as kind of like the final touch point of do this first and you'll see better results or better success?
Yes. Do your categories first. So determine what types of content you're sharing, then start working on your content. And whenever you do that, you can think about batching the content either per type or however you prefer, but batch it to make sure that you have consistent posting across your socials.
Yeah, that's awesome. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we barely touched the surface.
I didn't even share how you can interact with content that you already have.
Yeah, so that's pretty wild though. So I mean, there's obviously quite a bit for us to unpack here. We want to do it in a way that gets you the core things you need to get started if you aren't there, or if you're already a SocialBee user and you're not using the actual tool itself the way it needs to be used. You kind of understood now. You got the Copilot action. You have like the variations, which honestly is probably one of my favorite. You have statistics and also the customer service, like I said, bar none is one of the best out there. And again, it gives you another avenue if you are an agency and you're trying to pursue a career, a 9 to 5, and you're really good at social media and you want to take that skill and kind of blow it up. Not only do they offer a white label service that you basically pay them and you upcharge, or you do it yourself and you just take customers under you, become an affiliate of SocialBee like I am. And now you have a service that you can pretty much do, has a side hustle, has a normal day-to-day hustle, and now you got something going on. Social media is still very active. It's where a lot of the people are making money. It is the rise of the influencers that's been going on for the last 3 to 4 years. There's no stopping it. It's actually influencer marketing is apparently more effective than it's ever been. And social media is the way to do it. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on in here, a lot to unpack. Again, you can find everything on their site. Anka, like she says, she does regular webinars on this stuff. So we can dive deeper in some of those webinars that are offered on the SocialBee site. We'll invite her back, probably a couple months from now, just to kind of see how we're doing and some of the features that we've been using. And we'll go a little bit more in details and we'll pick like 1 or 2 features to go through. The link's up there, so scan it. That immediately goes you into the link here. Use our coupon code to get an additional discount. And Anka, thank you so much for joining us. Our viewers, I'm more than positive are going to love this. I think I'm probably going to get a couple minds blown of like, oh my God, I didn't know we could do this. And I'm going to probably even I personally have some social media funnel idea that I kind of want to run through, which is pretty like, now it's like kind of bugging my head that I got to have to figure out.
I'm happy to help with that. And hey, if anyone has a question, they can always reach out to me directly. My email is very much public, anka@socialbee.com.
Very good. All right. Well, even better. So, and believe me, our users will take advantage of that. So with that being said, thank you again, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Absolutely.